You are listening to the Critical Mass Radio Show, Orange County's business talk show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
Hello and welcome to Orange County's longest running business talk show and podcast. And yes, I am your host, Rick Franzi. And boy, do we have a good show planned for you today. Why do you ask? Because as you can see, if you're watching the live stream, Pete Fowler is our guest. He's the Chief Quality Officer, as well as the president and founder of Pete Fowler Construction Consultants. Pete, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Rick.
So let's go back in time, quite a number of years, actually, and maybe give us your origin story. You know, what was the motivation for you to launch and create your consulting firm?
It was a messy game, Rick. It was a messy game. I was an idealistic young guy, and all I wanted to do was work 70 or 80 hours a week and help a company I was working for grow, and they had a vision that was different than mine. So I was like, oh my God, I had two small children. I had just bought a house on the hill. I had new cars, and I hadn't learned I didn't have the wisdom to have saved up a bunch of money to make this easy. And so I just left and started my own gig, doing very similar work to what I had been. I had been the vice president of operations of another business. Mm-hmm. And so I couldn't do it the way they were doing it. And so I just started. I had run my own business, my own contracting business before that I started in my garage. And in my new house on the hill, I had a nice office in the bedroom downstairs. So I just took a leap. I mean, I literally had to write. Luckily, I bought the house under market and it appreciated a little bit. So I got a line of credit. Literally, I was writing line of credit checks, depositing them, and then making the mortgage payment with those checks. So first thing I had to do was to learn to meditate so that I wouldn't cough blood. Right. So it was a very stressful time. I got like alopecia on my face and things. It was it was very exciting.
Yeah, it's a different world to be a founder of a startup company, isn't it? Yeah. But you followed your dream. Here we are. I think my notes say about 25 years later.
Yeah.
So
it's followed the trajectory of my life. It's, the bottleneck for my business has always been at the top of the bottle. So it's as I have learned and matured, the business has grown and matured.
Okay.
And when I took a step back, it took a step back.
All too often, all too true. So let's talk a little bit about the evolution of the business. Have you had to, or wanted to, or needed to make any pivots to the consultancy since you launched it, like I said, all those years ago?
Yeah, pretty significant in the markets that we approached. I started out in a wacky little business called construction defect litigation as a consultant, and I started digging ditches when I was 16, and I sang in a rock band before I went to college. My mom made me go to college, but I got a degree in construction management. And but before that, I was a journalism major, right? So I've got a weird combination of skills. So I'm a good writer, not a good writer compared to good writers, but I'm a good writer compared to construction people. And I got low performance anxiety, and I know a lot about construction. So poof, I'm a consultant. So we grew up the business, on construction defect litigation at a time when there was a lot of it, and there weren't a lot of people who were good at it. And I was naturally good at it. So we, grew up to 20 people or something in two different offices. And, but then that work slowed down dramatically. So we had always done other insurance claims, building and property related insurance claims, job site accidents and things like that. So we had to really make a hard move into those other practice areas in order to continue growing the business. But we do it in almost the same way. So it's not a hard pivot like some people really have to change the whole model. But we didn't even really have a marketing department until not that long ago. So because we were good at it. There weren't very many people good at it. And so work would just come by referral and repeat business. That's still about 70% of our work is pure referral and repeat business. But we market and sell now in a way that most companies have to.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it can be a noisy marketplace now with all the tools and technology for small companies of all sizes to get their message into the marketplace. So let's go a little deeper, Pete. Specifically, talk to me a little bit more about your niche, what you do for them, how you solve what the problems are you're solving, and of all the kind of clients that you've had, can you give us a persona for the type of client that really knows how to leverage the relationship with you and your firm?
So for us, we literally worked for everybody in the building life cycle, whether you're an owner or a contractor, a developer, an insurance company, a lawyer. Our bread and butter work comes from lawyers who have been hired by insurance companies because the insurance company sold a commercial general liability policy to a contractor who's been sued. That's or it's a building owner who somebody slipped and fell at their place now, or there's an insurance claim that somebody says it's $1 million and we think we can fix it for $100,000. That kind of just differences of opinion about what something's worth. So people give us a pile of stuff, we sort through it, we tell them what we think. And usually they just take that and negotiate a sensible settlement. But if not, then we have to have our deposition taken where somebody's mean to us for money, right? The ultimate end for much of our work, that work that is in litigation, which is a lot of it, it's probably more than half now, which actually it used to be 90%. Now it's down to more than half. But we might have to testify in trial in front of a jury or a judge. And this side of that is arbitration, depositions, mediations, things like that. And every once in a while, a couple of times a year, somebody says, "Oh, really, smarty pants? You say you can fix it for $100,000?" And they dare us to actually do the work. So we'll go actually make the fixes that we say are the most appropriate for the right amount. We'll go and do them. So we still do traditional construction services. So again, I have a degree in construction management. We inspect buildings. We tell people what we think is right or wrong about what's going on, how it should perform, how it is compared to how it is performing, how it can be fixed if there are problems, and how much it should cost to fix them. And sometimes we actually do the work.
So this is off book question, but I'm wondering, since COVID, has the cost to fix things changed much in your space?
So certainly, so as a cost estimator, what we're really doing is we're building a project. It used to be on paper, now it's in electronic space. The ideal planning and estimating is you build the project first on paper and in electronic space, and then you go build it in the physical world. Mm-hmm. And so certainly when you have all of the COVID restrictions, that impacts how fast you can do work. If people can't get within 6 feet of each other, they're wearing masks, they got all kinds of, this is a big deal. So, but even since then, there was a bunch of crazy market dynamics that were going, that were caused by COVID. Lumber prices spiked to the highest price in human history, and then they came all the way back down to where they were before. It's just been a wild, roller coaster ride. But also the dynamic of, from the beginning of my career until maybe just around or before COVID time, construction costs for labor had not increased very much, especially in the private markets, and they have jumped dramatically. So labor costs for construction, and now then we had delivery, mechanisms. Now we have tariffs. I mean, it's a crazy time to be a construction cost estimator, I can tell you.
Yeah, I feel your pain. Yeah, and then that makes your estimate seem out of line because people don't believe it, maybe because it's they're thinking you're inflating it or something, but you're just trying to stay current with the market.
So thankfully for us, we deal with a lot of people over and over again.
Okay.
And so we have come to be known as kind of the voice of reason. I meet people, the big mediators in the market. Well, I'll just be whatever at a function, and they'll go, "Hey, Pete, God, I haven't seen you in years, but I see your guys all the time." And sometimes I'm on a case, and I say, "Has anybody from Pete Fowler's office done an estimate? Because they do sensible estimates, right?" So, and it's because we really try to be right. I mean, whether people are, sometimes our clients don't like it when we're right, right?
Right.
Right. Sometimes our clients are like, "Can you make it? Can you say that it will only cost half as much as it really will cost?" I'm like, "No, no. You hired us because we're sensible and practical."
Right.
But it's a funny, difficult business because fun with numbers is a real thing in the real world, right? And what people say something should cost and what they charge is sometimes not connected closely to what it should.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I imagine there's a certain set of the legal practice attorneys who specialize in this space as well. Is that true?
Absolutely. It's cottage industry.
Right.
There's a whole group of insurance people, a whole group of lawyers, and a whole group of construction consultants that do this full time. Yeah.
And what's your service area?
We have 5 offices, 3 in Southern California, 1 in outside of Las Vegas, and 1 in Orlando, Florida. But we do work in whatever, it's at least 40 states. And we're a very distributed workforce. So we've got, in fact, I asked this question the other day, how many states do we have staff in?
Uh-huh.
I would think we just had an all hands meeting in Chicago. So I would think it's somewhere between 10 and 15 states that we have people in.
Okay, last question, then we'll move on. How did you pick Orlando as an outlying market to have an office
Similar, we used to have offices in San Clemente and Portland, Oregon, and in Boulder, Colorado. And people would look at my business card and go, "These are nice places." I was like,
in?
"Duh."
Right?
These are the places I want to go, and there's work in all these places. And I wasn't a good enough business person to maintain all of those offices. That's a long, messy story. It's being a single parent is terrible, while also trying to be an entrepreneur. That's at least I'm not smart enough to do that. But I bought my first boss the day I left college. We were business partners for a minute, whatever, 10 years after I left college, but we decided we wanted to be friends more than business partners. And at some point, 20 years down the line from there, he wanted to move to Florida. His children had moved there. And so he sold me his business in Southern California, and he now is the lead expert for our business in Florida. So, I knew that I hadn't grown my business as large as I could locally.
Sure.
So I didn't want to go do something somewhere else geographically because it's a pain to get in and out, and right, it was just a lot of friction. So it worked out for us great. It helped us to have geographic spread, and it's led to very positive outcomes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can see that you don't have performance anxiety because you're very comfortable answering the questions. I love it. Can you think back to a piece of business advice that somebody had given to you that you would like to pay it forward to our audience today, Pete?
All of my business lessons for me have been I only learned things the hard way. A very close friend of mine called me 7 years ago on my 50th birthday, and he said, "I remember talking to you on your 40th birthday, and you said to me, the trouble with me is I never learn anything from my successes." This is me speaking, him quoting me back to me. "I never learn anything from my successes. It's only when I get my ass kicked that I learn anything." And my first CFO, who at the time was also my father-in-law. By the way, don't do that either. But he said to me, very earnestly, he's a very smart guy, very smart, and was a wonderful mentor to me for a long, long time. And he said, "Everyone's going to disappoint you, Pete. Just make peace with that." Gives me chills saying it. He said, "Everybody's going to disappoint you. Don't let it ruin your life." Yeah, it was heavy. It was very heavy. Yeah. but it lightened my load, right?
All right.
I was like, all right, I'm a psychopath. I get it. I'm a psychopath. And when people don't do things well, it makes me, it agitates me. And when people do things, when they do the wrong thing,
Right.
when they're not, straight line, Superman ethical, it breaks my heart a little bit.
Yeah. And I'm not saying this is the case, but you deal with a lot of attorneys.
They're mostly my favorite people, but one bad apple does spoil the whole bunch, right?
Well, they think I can say that because my son and his wife, my daughter-in-law, are both attorneys, so I'm allowed to joke about them. But I think through the education they go through, they do rethink. They think things differently. They're logical, but sometimes they're trained to find all the things that you would rather not have to think about, especially as an entrepreneur. Risk is risk, and
Right.
they're very risk.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, they can talk you out of anything.
You're right.
Right.
Scare the hell out of you, right? Yeah. They're good at that.
When I need to be scared, I have two lawyers who I've been working with, for one of them for 35 years.
Wow.
Like I was in my 20s, and the other one for like 15. And I for different reasons, I call one of them. I'm like, I need to be walked in off the ledge here.
Yeah, I'm enjoying our conversation. I'm wondering if you could talk to me about artificial intelligence, and I'm thinking about it in a couple different ways. First of all, what's your view of AI in general? As an innovation, how do you see it impacting the industry, and how specifically is your consultancy looking at leveraging AI?
So I didn't mention this, but I have a Bachelor of Science in Construction Management. I have a minor in Management Information Systems, Computer Information Systems, and I've been building my own internal proprietary magical information system with the same. My right-hand person is a genius programmer, so we have our own internal system. So we think about this a lot. And actually, if you go to petefowler.com, learn articles. I have a bunch of magazine articles I've written there. So I think a lot about this. It's going to change my work dramatically. And anybody who's super into project management or into programming knows about Agile and Scrum. And Scrum promises to deliver twice the work in half the time. And Lean Six Sigma delivers similar results, and artificial intelligence is going to do at least that, right? Mm-hmm. So if you combine Agile Scrum, you combine continuous process improvement, and you combine artificial intelligence, which all the best businesses are doing, we're going to, it's going to be a fascinating, wild time. It's going to be, the leverage that we're going to get, the human ingenuity leverage that we're going to get. And I mean, just frankly, artificial intelligence doing what we would otherwise have lower level assistants doing. It's going to cause disruption. I'm 100% sure.
Yes, and for people maybe in your position or my station in life, it'll be less impactful, but for your children and maybe some of your employees, it's something to be considered as they map out their career.
We talk about it almost every day.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I do, I create a lot of content for training and for communicating with my prospects and my clients. And it has shortened the time to high quality content creation by, I don't know, at least 50% already.
Right. In the early stages. Yeah.
It's already doing it.
Right.
Yeah. It's also, remember, it's like a chainsaw. You can do a lot of work, but you can lose your foot.
Jesus.
Right?
Yeah.
So for us, we have to go and testify. And if somebody along the line, in our value stream map, if we have a mid-level person who copies and pastes something out of Chat GPT and puts it in a report of ours, that because Chat GPT, it is always very confident and very eloquent, but sometimes it's stupidly wrong. So if you don't have expertise enough to know if it's stupidly wrong, it's a dangerous, dangerous tool. So if we get caught, just like those lawyers in New York who got sanctioned because they just copied and pasted stuff in and they didn't inspect what they expected. They expected that the case citations would be correct, and ChatGPT had just made them up, right? So for us, if we don't inspect what we expect on everything, which so some of the time savings, great, but you got to double check all that stuff, and sometimes that takes just as long as doing the work yourself.
Right.
So it's a dangerous tool, but it's super powerful.
Cool.
Right.
Good conversation. Yeah. Okay, let's spin it around to the future. Talk to me about where you see the consultancy going, and what's the future hold for you and your firm.
So I'm having more fun with this business than I ever have. Of course, like every small, medium-sized business owner who's got something good going on, the phone is ringing constantly for people. Hey, you want to sell your business? And I take calls, right? I mean, I want to hear. I feel like I'm the prettiest girl in high school, right? I'm very popular, but I don't take myself very seriously on that front. But I descend from a long line of drunken bar fighting Irishmen. So if I sold the business, I might be having a cigarette and a cocktail right now instead of having woken up early and gone for a workout and, talking to you, Rick. So I'm not interested in not working. So, if I were to sell the business, I would just invest in a bunch of businesses and work on them. And so I'm like, why don't I just do that in this business? So we're expanding geographically. We're expanding our practice areas. We're growing organically. We're doing acquisitions. There's a lot of people. So I'm 57 years old, and most of my smaller competitors are still being led by people who are between 10 and 15 years older than me. So it's a great time to buy these folks up. And most of them, not most of them, but at least a lot of them, I mean, the three I bought, they're all still working most days. Right. I mean, they're living better lives with me. It's in the same way that I think about my employees. If I want to have the best employees, I got to have the best workplace for those employees. I'm luckier to have them than they are me, because they're smart enough to go get jobs. The best of them are smart enough to get jobs anywhere else. So I got to be a great place to work. So I want to be a great place for somebody to sell their business.
Well,
so
that's a testament.
To work and have fun, right?
Well, that's a testament, because in my experience, a lot of founders, entrepreneurs don't make good employees, like, for very long. So if you can create a culture where they can thrive, that's not easy to do.
It is like a marriage, right? I mean, you got to choose really well, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Our acquisition process, it literally uses first date, second date, right?
Okay. Well, that's fantastic. So if someone would like to connect with you, let's say on LinkedIn, or maybe learn more about the firm, what do they do, Pete?
So I am on LinkedIn, and there's only two famous Pete Fowlers. One of them is, and he's almost the same age as me. He's a Welsh artist who lives in London. You can't mix us up.
Okay.
Right. He's like the king of monsterism. I think that's his thing. So there's Pete Fowler Construction, and there's Pete Fowler, the artist. I'm Pete Fowler Construction, and I have PeteFowler.com. That's the easiest way to find me. PeteFowler.com. And if you click anywhere where it says contact us, I'll get that message. All roads lead to Rome. I am on LinkedIn, but I can't remember the URL or whatever. But
I'll just type Pete Fowler and find you. So I see the guitars. You mentioned that you played in the younger version. Do you still play?
There was a 17-year gap, but I'm now back into probably the coolest dad band maybe in the world.
Okay.
Maybe in the world. It took a minute to evolve, but we just played 2 weeks ago. We played the Whiskey A Go-Go on Sunset Strip, and we have some cool video to prove it. I'm wearing skin tight imitation red leather pants. My proudest accomplishment is that I can still wear skin tight imitation leather pants. Right. In my 30s, I could not do that. I was a bigger guy, but we're called the Brogos. The Brogos. we're a all dad tribute to the 80s ladies. So we only play 80s ladies music. So the Go-Go's and Pat Benatar and, all
Bangles.
soon. That's on the learn list. We've only got, like 2 hours of music right now because we're kind of a showcase band rather than a 3 hours of bar band.
Uh-huh.
It's coming, but yeah, that's coming.
What an interesting approach. That's pretty unique. I don't know how you guys came up with that, but it certainly is memorable.
It was a continuous improvement exercise.
There you go.
Somebody thought we would just do all Go-Go's, and I was like, no, they only got like 5 songs I like. So then it became all 80s. So it literally was like a 5-year evolution. Even the outfits, even our super cool outfits right now, it was literally, I'm a Lean Six Sigma continuous improvement Toyota production system guy.
Yes,
and that's really how the band has come together. And the shtick is it's hysterical. People crack up. They love it.
Do you play locally in Orange County occasionally?
So it's mostly San Diego. My sister made me marry her friend, and so I had to move from Laguna Beach back to Carlsbad, where I grew up.
Okay.
So yeah, we played the Coach House in Orange County.
Sure. Yeah.
We played there's a great Irish bar in Newport Beach that we played. So yeah, it's coming. We're coming. Be on the lookout. The Bro-Go's.
I will. That's very interesting. Well, as I said at the top of the show, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a good one. You did not disappoint. Thank you today, Pete, for your time. I appreciate it.
Rick, it's great to talk to you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And thank you to the audience. You're a part of Orange County's longest running business talk show and podcast. Pete's episode is joining our catalog of over 1,600 interviews that we've done over the years. So if you happen to be here in Orange County and you too would like to share your story with my audience, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm Rick Franzi, RICFRANZI. That's also my website, rickfranzi.com. Let me know that you have an interest in being a guest. And between Haley, our producer, and myself, we'll be happy to get you ready for a future episode. And until we all have a chance to be together again, I hope each of your business decisions will move your businesses in a positive direction.